flies so fast. It's 2023 already, and I feel like recapping briefly, of course, my chess year 2022. There were many games, but mostly online. I must say that I got pretty surprised by the number of over-the-board classical games that I played. This recap might end up as a YouTube video. Unfortunately, after the candidate, somehow my motivation to keep pace and to work on my YouTube channel diminished, and I just realized that I'm not capable of doing everything. And I focused mostly on preparing on the candidates, and I had a quite busy schedule in the last months of the year. And so let's keep fingers crossed that I will consider this stream as my YouTube video. But anyway, so 2022. In 2022, I played only 26 classical over-the-board games. For comparison, in 2021 I played 39. There were not so many tournaments, and I was not really eager to play. To begin with, my score, I won 11 games out of those, lost 6, and made 9 draws. And for today's stream, I picked up 12 of my games of 2022. They are not all classical, not all over the board, but definitely like memorable victories. I did make some YouTube videos based on these games that you can check out on my YouTube channel. Yes, of course, Happy New Year. I must have started with these wishes, and I must have started with a Merry Christmas wish for those who celebrate Christmas today. So let's begin. Let's begin with the 2022 chess year 2022. I started with an online tournament. Oh, there were many Title Tuesdays in January, of course, but there was another tournament, quite a special one for me, that was pretty tough experience. But okay, let's start not with chess actually. But that was the way I started the year 2022 on ski slopes, and as you can see, the weather was great, and we had great time with my husband and with my daughter skiing in Switzerland in January. And well, it was not that cold, it was sunny. And then and we went back to France. So I was in Moscow at the beginning of the year. I celebrated the new year with my family. Then on January 12th, we flew to Geneva, where we skied for a few days. And then we went back to France. I did, as you can see, pick a few photos to illustrate my year, not only chess games, but also some photo memories as well. They actually help a lot, right? They help a lot to recall all the actions and your feelings, and somehow otherwise. This one, no, it's a French, it's a francophone part of Switzerland, the French Alps. Okay, that was the beginning of the year. And then my first game my first game, is from an online tournament. Well, I'm sure you followed this tournament pretty closely. It was a very hard tournament for me. Let me adjust a little bit. Yep, here we go. Here we go. About all schedule, you can find all the schedule with some time frames I made using the command !schedule on Twitch. And yeah, in February I played in the Air Things Masters. Boy, it was a very tough tournament. It was a very tough tournament, but as you can see, the field was very strong. I was the only woman, and even, I mean, youngsters, you know, those who usually you can hope to score some points, were quite experienced already and very strong. So it was quite tough. And I started with, what, 0 out of 12 or something like that. But I managed to win one game. Yeah, I scored victory against Eric Hansen. And let me go over this game really fast, because I did record a full recap about this tournament and I put it on my YouTube channel. I also commented this game in Russian for my YouTube channel. So if you want to see my comments like in full, you can check out my this game. But okay, in a blitz speed, I played white. It was the Italian game, and in this year a lot of things actually connected to this opening. I recorded an opening course, which I'm very proud of, for chess.com, which, no courses, another command courses, which is called the Loud Italian. It's been translated to Russian as well. And in that course, which I recorded actually after this game was played, I analyzed a lot of lines, a lot of variations that start with this position, with the exact position. So it's like the open Italian, where white plays c3, d4. Another approach, d3, like a calmer version of the Italian game, is more popular nowadays. But d4, of course, if you can play so straightforward, that why not do it? Because it's white's plan, right? To try to win this battle, the central battle, and to put these two pawns in the center. And for this tournament, for Magnus, for Air Things Master, I prepared quite a tricky line, a gambit line that starts with knight b2 d2. I analyze this line as well as two other moves, knight c3 and bishop d2, in the Loud Italian course on chess.com. So if you are interested, you can check it out. Knight b2 d2, yes, it's a gambit line, and as actually, well, apart from bishop d2, knight c3 is also a gambit line. But knight b2 is quite tricky. Black can accept this sacrifice, but in the game, Eric played d5, which is considered one of the good moves that black can make. Of course, theory continues after that. We get a very interesting structure with an isolated pawn that not only weakness, but it gives white some initiative, dynamic, to control certain squares, try to use a semi-open file. And of course, what is more even important is that black is not so well developed, and here, while they're almost obliged, like it's the strongest move, they're not really obliged, but it's considered to be the strongest move to give up this bishop. Bishop e7 has been played, and it's another story, but it does give black some initiative connected with rook e1 move and putting some pressure and using those semi-files. So bishop takes d2, as I said, is considered to be the strongest move, but with this exchange white gets a pair of two bishops, a beautiful pair of two bishops, which can also which can help white fight for advantage. But of course it's quite far from that. Bishop g4, h3, and here the main reply, and that what black should do here is just to retreat the bishop to h5 to keep this tension, to keep this pin. White can play g4. It's an aggressive move, but it weakens the king side. And yes, it destroys the pin. It pushes black's bishop to g6, but again rook e1 in a very complicated position with an isolated pawn, which is a weakness in the long term, but white does have some pluses in the position which can be used immediately. Again, the position is about equal, but bishop takes f3 is very, very tempting indeed, because it seems that this pawn is going to be lost after knight b6. That's what my opponent was hoping for. That's why he captured on f3, and actually we can call it a positional trap, because in fact after bishop d3 it's not so easy to capture this pawn, because if the queen takes on d4, bishop will get to c3, and white gets a very, very strong compensation with these two beautiful bishops that are looking at the king side. And even though white is a pawn down, white do have more than enough compensation for an advantage. And after knight takes d4, it's very hard to believe, but after queen takes b7, quite a brave move, it's impossible to use this fact of two bishops being on one line, being unprotected. It's also quite tempting, and that's why black went for this line, because from if you calculate this line and if you see this move queen takes b7, you're gonna tell yourself that it's not possible. It's not possible that knight b3 would not win some material, because the rook is under attack. Those two bishops are not protected. This bishop is also under attack, so it's a 4. It seems impossible to believe that white can protect everything, but yeah, they can, thanks to this move, queen e4, an intermediate move that protects the bishop and attacks the pawn on h7. And after g6, white has time to go rook a to d1, move the rook out of knight's attack, and at the same time protect the bishop on d2. And after knight c5, again, some tactics that help white stay alive. And after white exchanges everything, for example, after rook e8, those two pawns, suddenly we feel that they are quite weak, and in this endgame that arises, they give white, they promise white certain advantage. Okay, in the game, Eric played rook b8, queen e4, again threatening to give a checkmate, f5, queen e3, c5, and here I made an inaccuracy. Well, of course it's quite hard to choose from different moves that white has. Rook a to d1 I played, which seems to be quite logical, but not very precise. Bishop c3, not such a logically looking move, because it kind of gets under this fork, but in fact the strongest one in the position according to the computer. Queen g3, and black cannot really take, because after b takes c3, suddenly this pawn kicks this knight away from the central square, and this knight has nowhere to go. Well, not so many good squares, because these pawns have already moved forward, and they don't protect c6, e6 anymore. So white could have gotten a very big advantage and quite an easy play. While after rook a to d1, those two bishops, they continue to hang, they continue to be protected only by pieces, and those pieces, if attacked, need to move away. And that can lead to some problems. For example, black had to play rook e8 with the idea after queen to g3. This move actually loses because suddenly those two pieces are under fork distance, and after c4 this bishop is pushed away from this square. Well, if it moves away, then knight e2 is gonna follow. So after rook e8, I would have needed to be very careful, play queen g5, but my opponent, luckily for me, he played knight d5. After this move, I have bishop c4, which I made, and the position becomes quite pleasant again. But this knight on d4, you gotta watch out when your opponent has such a strongly placed piece, because, well, it can jump, it can create tactical threats and tactical pressure. And here I didn't find the best move again. I failed to find the strongest move, but it's not the most obvious move to find, to tell you the truth. It's an intermediate move, despite the fact that the bishop is attacked. I can move another bishop to create a counter threat. I can play bishop h6, creating a checkmating threat, using the fact that this pawn is pipped. And if black plays queen to f6, then after exchanging queens, I have another intermediate move again. This bishop keeps hanging in the air, but this dark squared bishop keeps creating more dangerous threats. Bishop f4, and then I should be able to move this bishop away, although again I gotta be careful not to move it too far away because of this fork. So here, in instance, I have rook f to e1, a very nice intermediate move. If the rook goes to c8, for example, I can play bishop a6. If the rook goes to f8, let's see what's gonna happen. Bishop d3 again to keep an eye on this square, and if c4, then bishop takes c4, and this knight is suddenly not protected anymore. But in the game I made, well, quite a logical move. I just retreated my bishop, and suddenly you see the bishop got retreated, but the problem is that it's not controlling the e2 square anymore, and this knight e2 is always in the air, and I have to, yeah. And at the same time, actually, I remember when I made this move, I realized that knight d7, rook takes b2 is possible, and I was just hoping that I'm going to find something. I was a pawn up, right, in this position, and after bishop a2, no, actually, no, I'm not a pawn up. We have the same amount of pawns, the same number of pawns. So after knight d7 and rook takes b2, black can win a pawn. Yes, I do have some compensation after that, but again, it's not the same thing as playing with the same number of pawns. Rook e8, it's not as precise, because here I just capture and I'm the one who plays with the pawn up. Queen d5, and again, okay, black won this pawn back, but I have two very strong bishops, and now the knight on d4 is not protected by a pawn, so it's not so well placed. Rook f to e1 seems to be an accuracy, but okay, it was a rapid online game, so we were playing already, we were pretty low on time, we were playing with seconds, so it's hard to judge every single move pretty seriously. After rook f to e1, knight e2 seems to be very strong, but rook e to d8 was played, and in that case queen a5, and yeah, I have a winning position. Let's see how the game ended. rook b8, queen c7. It was already played on seconds, and here of course my opponent had to take on a2. In that case, the combination that took place in the game is not working, because in the game black just captured on f2 and I win here pretty, quite easily, but nevertheless very pretty. I win here using this back rank tactical motive, which is very tempting to use when your opponent's king is not, well, is protected by just one rook. And this motive, this game is just, this combination is just to sacrifice the queen and give a checkmate. That's how the game continued. But actually, what I was saying, that black had to take on a2. And this is another story, because here queen takes b8 also seems to be very strong, but in fact it's losing, because after knight takes b8, rook d8, black suddenly, they can't protect the king. And they end up in the position with an extra knight. Well, yes, some chances to make a draw for white, but nevertheless, we're not talking about victory here. After queen takes a2, it would have been quite a hard task for me to find the correct continuation. There are two moves, two pretty strong moves, queen takes e6 and bishop f4, but all those moves, they require some tactical correctness, tactical nuances. For example, after queen takes e6, knight takes d2, there is only one move that gives white the possibility to continue fighting for advantage. Okay, that was the first game. That was February. That was a very, very tough tournament. And then, what was then? And then what came a shock that made me forget about chess, of course, and made me switch to reading news 24/7. But nevertheless, we managed to escape for 2 short days again to ski. Another ski opportunity. We open a new destination, new ski destination, which is located pretty close to where I currently reside. And yeah, we did manage to ski a little bit. We did enjoy the sunny weather despite the horrific news that we were following. And well, in March there were no tournaments, so I stayed home mostly. And the first tournament, actually the first classical over-the-board game that I played in 2022, happened in France, in Mulhouse, only in the first week of, well, actually in the second week. At the beginning of April, it was a qualification stage of the women's French team championship. It's not a dragon, it's a beaver. It's not a dragon. And so we went to Mulhouse. Yeah, that's my husband and I. Okay, just kidding. But that was funny. That was quite funny. And I played my first 4 games of 2022 in Mulhouse. And actually I lost the first game of 2022, the first classical game of 2022. But I'm going to share with you the game that I won. It's more pleasant to talk about the games that one wins, right? What's my best marathon time? I've only run one marathon. I've only completed one marathon, and I don't have plans to complete any more marathons. It's quite hard for your health, I think. Okay, the second, well, not the second, it's the fourth game, the fourth over the board game of the year. This one I won in the final game of this qualification in Mulhouse, that we actually won as a team. And it was the French defense with e5. And I prepared well. My opponent played, used one line quite often, which computers nowadays evaluate as a dubious line. But okay, it's quite double-edged. So this was all the part of my preparation, quite a long theoretical line. There are possibilities to sacrifice on f3, but they are not considered to be dangerous. We're not gonna dive into this theoretical discussion. It was, as I said, all prepared at home, and that, and this, and this. And actually, well, here I also had some analysis which I forgot during the game. And I made the first move on my own that I made in this game was inaccurate, and actually it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing that such a logical move can be a mistake. If we, I mean, look at this position, that's what black is, what they're hoping. I mean, they let white destroy their structure, but they kind of managed to combine all her pieces on the king side, and they do hope, they do dream of creating some kind of attack. If white manages to stop black from creating this attack, the position will be winning for white. And I made this move, rook a to c1. But in fact, well, what can be more logical than put your rook on the open file with with the attack? But in fact, it gives black precious time. It gives them an opportunity to bring her queen closer to the king side. So she can either play queen e7 or queen d8. No, rook f to c1 would have been even worse, I think, because it weakens the f2 square. No, I had to play queen to b4. Seems to be quite weird to move away your queen from the king side, but in fact, those pieces, they are doing a great job of protecting the king side, and my queen participates in organizing the counterplay on the queen side. It's like a King's Indian style position where black put all in on the king side, while white is doing actually doing whatever I want to do on the queen side, because there is no one left. And yes, some kind of lines that can go like this, and after queen d8, what is very important, I can play f3. And after bishop h6, I have a very strong move, rook a3. Suddenly this rook is not only putting pressure on the queen side, but also participates in protecting the center and the king side. And, well, the position looks very tense, but again, with accurate play, white has to be able to protect from this attack and thus win the game. I played rook a to c1. After queen d8, the position is not so clear anymore. I played here queen to b4, but it's a different story, because this one tempo means a lot. I mean, the position is very, very complicated. Yes, it's yeah, it looks that white is dominating, but again, black has some dynamic. Knight e4, and white has to protect the square. I have to do something. I had to choose. And after f3, I wanted to play f3 during the game, but I could not evaluate this line. Bishop h6 is coming. You see that I have pieces, unprotected pieces, on this diagonal. Queen a3, and after queen d6, I had to foresee, I had to notice rook a1, which again seems completely illogical. You simply forget about such moves when you just move your rook to c1. Yeah, that's why I played f4. But the problem with f4, when I play f3, I attack the knight. If the knight will get back, will move away, then it will give me more time to consolidate. If I play f4, that's what I did. Of course, I cover this diagonal. It's not possible anymore to attack those pieces, but at the same time, I don't attack this knight. And it gives black time. Time in such positions, well, in chess in general, is very, very important. h4. Suddenly, those doubled pawns are not so weak anymore. They're a very annoying tool of opening up white's position. And this knight, look at this knight. After f4, I kind of highlight that no, I'm not going to be able to attack this knight with a pawn. So it makes such a huge difference, f4 and f3. And usually we don't want to leave pieces, to leave opponents' pieces, to let them stay on such beautiful protected squares where they put pressure on our weaknesses. So, well, such a turnaround. After h4, the position is completely unclear. Black has all she was hoping for, and white needs to be careful. Well, what should I do here? I cannot move the pawn because the pawn on f4 is going to hang. So I had to protect it. I played queen e1. Luckily for me, this square is under control, so there is no rook g6 for the moment. But black decided to use the h-file, well, to put the rook there, to open up this bishop, and, well, create some ideas in the position. King to g2. King to g2. I am hoping to get rid of this rook if needed with rook h1. And here black had to take on a5. It's quite a difficult exchange, right? It's quite difficult to give up such a bishop, but the knight is very beautiful. And this knight, as I said, is controlling the g6 square. And if black exchanges, if I take, for example, with the d pawn, then rook g6 is coming up, and, well, it's hard. It's hard for white. Okay, the only moves that I have is g4, but then this pawn can be attacked. I didn't have time earlier to play king g2. I had to protect, first I had to protect the pawn on g3. Ah, you mean king g2 here? Well, king g2, then probably I didn't like something like this. I should consider. And rook takes f4. And so, well, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Queen g5, queen takes e3, a lot of sacrifices, but black is going to win everything back. So king g2 was a mistake here. That's why I played queen to e1. That's why I needed to protect this pawn with the queen. Okay, bishop h5 was played. I didn't exchange this bishop. That's strange, right? Rook h1 I think should have been played. I played bishop to d3, but here again, bishop takes e5 and rook g6 was very strong. King h8 is not as strong because, well, she was trying to put her rook to g8. She was trying to double the rooks, and actually that's what brought black to disaster. Because black did manage to play rook e8 and did capture on e4. Here I had a very strong move g4, but I didn't dare. I didn't dare to make this move. It looked very, very scary. But in fact, it seems that everything is under control. Black cannot take on g4. There are no checkmate here. It's scary anyway. And if not, then I'm going to play queen g3 on the next move. Instead, I played king to f2, and here black had to play queen f8. It's a very complicated, approximately equal position, but again, it's more pleasant to play with black because white's king is weaker for the moment. If again I manage to stop this attack, if I manage, for example, to exchange the queens, then my position will be winning or very close to winning, thanks to the fact that those pawns are very weak. My pawns on the queen side are so advanced, so if I get my rook to c7, it's game over. But the queens are still on the board. The queens are still on the board. But luckily for me, my opponent was driven away. It was a very nice tactical possibility. She sacrificed the bishop, and she was certain that after rook takes h5, rook takes g3, she is the one winning, or putting some pressure because of this rook f3, king to d3. But I saw from a few moves ahead that this combination only works in my favor. Rook takes h7, a very beautiful, not the only move, but definitely the strongest move. Queen h1, king to g7, and here king takes g3 loses. That's probably why my opponent decided to play it, because she was hoping that that was going to happen. But in fact, I have a very strong intermediate move that is so easy to miss. Rook to d1. Suddenly I don't take the rook, I attack the queen, and if the queen moves, then it's another story. Then I can take. And rook h8, there is no rook h8 here in this line compared to the lines that we just saw. Rook f3 my opponent played, but the problem is that rook, this move opens up the g file, which my pieces are going to use to checkmate black. And yeah, it's a very nice combination. Knight d5, one more very beautiful move, queen and knight together. And here, well, queen f6 would have been a little bit easier, but okay, queen h4 I played. It's the same almost story, and a very nice geometry. Knight e7. Queen takes g8 is met by knight e7. Yeah, very nice counter combination. Black was hoping to finish the game with attack, but it backfired. So yeah, when you enter the complications, when you enter those complications on tactical ideas, you really need to be very, very careful, because the importance of every single move rises significantly in tactical complications. That's why we say that chess is 99% is tactics. Okay, so that was a very pleasant way to finish this weekend in Mulhouse. And I'm going to show you my team victorious photo. Actually, it was such a pleasure to meet with my teammates in Mulhouse and to play in Mulhouse, because at this time I was worried that there are not going to be many games where I'm allowed to play at all. And it was such a relief to see that people still, you know, talk to me as they used to talk. And in terms of personal relationships, nothing really changed. Okay. Yes. Alina Kashlinska, I think she scored 100% in that weekend, so she helped the team a lot. As I said, I lost the first game but won the three consecutive games at the end, so 3 out of 4, and we won a very nice cup. And actually, it was just a qualification, so we just won our group and we qualified for the final stage, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Okay, so what was next? What was next? Let me see what was next. It was April, right? Then at the end of May, there was the final weekend of the women's Bundesliga. But before that, we did go on a trip. We traveled a lot. We traveled a lot. So we visited Paris. Actually, from Mulhouse by train, I went to Paris for a few days. Then I went back to Nice. And yes, there was 2 birthday parties. My daughters and myself. We are both born at the end of April. Actually 2 days in a row, 22 and 23. So we did have 2 birthday parties in a row. First, I congratulated Francesca on her 15th birthday. My gosh, I'm a mom of a 15-year-old girl. I still cannot believe that. And then Francesca congratulated me on my birthday. Oi, that is not. No, that's a Mulhouse. Okay, let me see. Yeah, and then that was in Miami. And after Miami, we continued our journey to Buenos Aires. I didn't realize how far it is from Miami. I thought, well, Miami, you know, is so far away. So let's go to Argentina. It's, well, from Miami. I thought that it's not that far anymore. But actually, it is very far. In Buenos Aires, we didn't really have a chance to visit many places. We did some sightseeing around Buenos Aires, but it's a big city. But the most important thing was to visit the local chess club. There's a famous table of the Capablanca Lejain World Championship match is standing. The same pieces, the same table. Actually, the original score sheets. It's of course amazing. It's amazing when you can touch the history. You can feel that. Yes, you're such a part of it. Okay. So I touched the history. I took a photo next to the obelisk. Well, I'm sure you've all seen many photos of this square after the victory in the World Cup by the Argentinian team. It was filled with people. Millions of people were there. Well, at the time when I was there, as you can see, it was less crowded. Yeah, it's also Buenos Aires. I did play some tennis in 2022. And I enjoyed the Côte d'Azur. I enjoyed the sea, the sun. I mean, I like the weather here so much in the south of France. It's very enjoyable. Now it's January. The temperature is sometimes plus 15 Celsius, sunny, and well, if you go out, I rarely go out. I'm not a big go-outer, but if you do, it's such a pleasure. And yes, that's my daughter again. She did win several tournaments in 2022. She continues to play tennis. She trains a lot and she continues her journey, her professional journey, and I was very happy to support her in some of the tournaments. And this one is a local tournament that she won. Anna, hi there, long time no see. Welcome to my channel, guys. I'm doing a recap. Well, it was supposed to be a chess year recap, but as you can see, I'm mixing up chess stuff with photo stuff, and I do hope that my viewers enjoy it. Right now, at this moment, you joined us somewhere in May 2022. It's May 2022 in my stream right now. May 22nd, 22. Oh, what a date! Where my daughter won one of the local tournaments in France. Yeah, and she won actually a very beautiful cup. You can see it says vainqueur, dame, simple dame. So it's like not a kids tournament, it's a local women's tournament that she won in tennis. She's responsible for tennis in our family. I'm responsible for chess. So yeah, at the end of May, I congratulated my daughter on this victory, and then I traveled to Germany. No, it's not Germany. Sorry, not yet. Well, yes, my daughter. It was funny because after that's the photo exactly after she won the tournament, and we went. Actually, I live in France, at the southern France. I live in between several cities, and one of them is a very, very small but quite historical place, which is called Biot. And here we're on the central square of this city, and there were two menus, kids menus, like with steak haché, grounded beef, and salmon. And my daughter, since she won the tournament, she was very hungry. She asked me, what should she have? And I said, well, if you're hungry, you can order both. The waitress was very surprised, but she did order those two menus and she gobbled them up, both of them. And you can see my husband stealing some of the fries. And that's the Baden-Baden, why is it here? Team table throughout the season. I didn't play a lot. Actually, there were only 2 games of the season that I played, and I was also not brilliant. But that's all of my teammates, and you can see the results throughout the season. Jansaya Abdumalik scored an amazing 6 out of 7. Elizabeth scored 6, but she made quite a few draws. Very solid result. Josephine Heinemann, 7.5 out of 8. Quite impressive as well. So there were some players that did score many important victories, and that allowed our team. It's my team for many years, Baden-Baden, women's team in the German team championship, win the 2021-2022 season. We didn't have a chance to win for several years, so it was very nice. So now let's get back to the chess part. I did pick one game of mine from the Bundesliga, the final weekend. Well, actually, I lost to Alina Kashlinskaya. At that time, she was not my teammate, but she was playing against my team. That happens. And yeah, I lost the first game, but I did win in the second games that I played. Oh, it was such a hard game because it started at 9 a.m. It's such a pain to play at 9 a.m. Oof, if you could only imagine. Okay, that was the not the Italian, not my favorite opening, but the Spanish, the Ruy Lopez, the closed Ruy Lopez was d3, and I did prepare well. I think bishop d7 is possible. Okay, maybe not the best move here, but possible. And here, well, my opponent was spending a lot of time, but she was playing well. I mean, she did everything well until this moment where I played d4. And this kind of move, well, it shocks. Usually it shocks you, right? When your opponent puts so many pawns under attack. And you have to make a choice. And black made a mistake, made the wrong choice. And actually after this wrong choice, the game went downhill. Oh, black had to take on d4. That was the only good move. After e takes d4, well, here I had to take on d4, but I was planning to play e5. I was going to play e5. I remember after d takes e5, I wanted to take on e5, and if black castles, I was going all in. Very complicated position, of course, with some chances, some counter chances for white, but I mean, they did sacrifice material, and if black manages to protect and stop this attack, then I may end up in a trouble. Well, but in fact, in fact, my bluff worked out pretty well. Well, Jana Schneider, yes, she's a strong young player from Germany. She played knight takes e4, and as I said, it was much easier after that. D takes e4. Here black had to castle, I think, but she played g4, which is quite a serious mistake, because despite the fact that here black has an extra pawn, it doesn't help her. Too many weak squares, and my knights are heading there. Pawns are also hanging. It's not possible to keep this extra pawn. Black kind of has to offer this queen's exchange, but this queen exchange doesn't make black's life easier, because look, I'm winning back the pawn. I won back the pawn that I sacrificed, but look at those pawns. Oof, too bad. Those too weak. And what's even more terrible for black, that it's very hard to coordinate these pieces. This king has already moved, it's not possible to castle, and usually in an endgame it should be easy, you know, to move the king from the 8th rank to connect the rooks, but here it's not so easy, because knights, they're attacking the king whenever it goes. And well, for example, king f7 leads to knight e5, king g7, knight h5, and where to go? If you keep insisting, I would just go to g7 and the game is over. Yes, and because of this fact of complete discoordination, the position is totally lost. I should have won this game very easily and very fast. I was playing very well until the moment where I just had to stop for a while. I was playing very fast, and my opponent was in a terrible trouble already. Yes, I couldn't resist. I knew that I don't really have to. I can play king e2, but it's such a beautiful move. Where else can you see a short side castle on the 30th move of the game? 30th move of the game. I just could not resist. I mean, yes, I realize that this rook might be more helpful on the h file, pushing and helping this pawn to move forward, but okay, castle cannot be a bad move. Well, actually it led to some unneeded complications. You see, well, some pins, some tension, and of course, I mean, I had to play h4, but for some reason I thought, okay, rook f3 is gonna follow, so I was starting being lazy here. I couldn't, you know, force myself just to stop, to breathe in, breathe out, and find the most correct way to play. Okay, so far so good. h5, I managed to force my opponent to sacrifice an exchange, knight d2, and here, without almost thinking, I made this horrible move, king to g1, which led the game back almost to the 0 evaluation, and which forced me to win this game all over again. I had to just, move the rook away, and I got scared a little bit because of bishop f2, bishop g3, but in fact bishop g3 is not a checkmate. I just go to h1, and it's not even possible to bring the knight to f2 because of my knight protecting the e4 square. And if she plays e4, yes, here I had to calculate a little bit, but it's not such a difficult calculation, and I'm way ahead. Rook b8, h8, queen to follow, and just forces black to resign. Yeah, unfortunately I spoiled the end of this game. I played king g1. It's still winning, but here it's like more complicated. Here I had to calculate this line, which also not very difficult to calculate, but I continued blitzing out the moves. I played knight e4, which is a terrible mistake because of rook e4. I kind of almost forced to play f3, but that gives up this pawn on g2. And well, yeah, the position I think is still winning, but it's so complicated. You have to calculate different lines, difficult lines, and poof. Yeah, okay. And I outplayed my opponent once again, and here I'm winning. I had to just play rook a8, but for some reason I decided to exchange to win a pawn and get into this endgame, which is almost drawn, or is drawn. But okay, my opponent made a mistake at the end. The final mistake was made by my opponent, and I did manage to win this game, even though, as you can see, I could have finished it much earlier. Anyway, we did win. We did win the cup. We did win the women's Bundesliga, and it was May. It was the end of May in 2022. So let's carry on. What was, yeah, one more picture. That's me actually before the games that I just showed you. Quite sleepy, I know, but 9 a.m. games, oh my gosh, nightmare. And yeah, here I am home, back home again in Antibes. It's the 1st of June. Antibes, sunny weather. Yes, very nice place. I enjoy it very much. And then the whole June actually was dedicated to Clichy Échec, the club in France that I'm playing for some years. But my husband, it's going to be 25 years, I think, in 2 years. He's been playing for Clichy Échec. I'm playing a little bit for the last few years. But first we went to Chartres, where my husband mostly plays in top 16. This year it was 16 teams playing, and I played only 2 games. I actually showed this game in French. I discussed this game right after it was played in Chartres and tried to use my French for that. Okay, it was a Grand Prix attack. I scored 1.5 out of 2. In this game, my opponent really surprised me. Okay, very interesting line with white sacrificing the pawn. Actually, I used the same line against Dinara Darjeva in Astana a few months later, and I did manage to get a completely winning position and lost that game. But this game, it was not such a winning position after the opening, but I managed to win it. Sometimes, yeah, things work out pretty strangely. Knight to d4. It's a bad move. Black has to accept the sacrifice. F takes e6, F takes e6, and here I had to castle. But somehow I got scared because of b5, but there is nothing to be scared about because well, there is e5, obviously. Well, a very difficult move. If you don't know it, a difficult move to find. e5, the king is in the center. If black takes on c4, then I can take and play queen f3, threatening to play queen f7, the rook is under attack, the king is in the center, the pawn on e5 doesn't let black cover the f file, and well, yeah, black is almost losing. I think knight f6 is the only move, but then, well, then it's hard anyway. And it's not the only line. I think knight d4 is not the only line. Bishop g5 is also possible. So it is the line to know if you play this variation with white, because, well, otherwise it's quite challenging to find this move in a practical game. I didn't manage. I captured on d4, but that's another story. But actually my opponent surprised me a lot. Surprised me a lot because he offered to draw. What can I say? I mean, I'm playing white. I'm choosing a very, very sharp variation. And of course, it's not my intention. It's not my intention to agree on a draw. It's not my intention to agree on a draw. Of course, I declined this draw offer. Here my opponent made a mistake and he had to play e5, I think immediately. He played b5, but that kind of weakens the queen side because I can always undermine this pawn. And what, yeah, here you see castle. I had to play knight f4 and then castle, which is a little bit more difficult to do because the knight covers the file and I didn't want to let black castle. But in fact, again, e5 here was very strong because knight g4, bishop h6 are coming, and suddenly my pieces are discoordinated, and it would have been quite hard to stay cool here and to find, I mean, queen b4 with the idea to play h4 after knight g4. Okay, but knight g4 was played, and after that my position is very close to winning, but I did miss a few tactical possibilities here. Yes, Clichy is in the suburb of Paris, very well, actually next to it. Clichy 92. Here it would have been possible to take. I mean, it would be very strong to take and just play bishop f4. Somehow I missed this tactic. Quite a simple tactic, but I did miss it. It happens. You overlook tactics. I played c3, and here again knight e6 with the same idea. Would have been strong, that I captured. I got a pleasant position, and little by little, well, little, I captured the pawn on a7, I got an extra pawn, and little by little I managed to convert this pawn into winning this game. I think I played pretty well, and my opponent didn't manage. Although, I mean, he did manage to create some technical problems to me. I mean, he did manage to create some counterplay on the king side, and here he had to play g5. Actually, I was calculating during the game this line because I couldn't evaluate it. I was quite scared. I was planning to go here, but how to evaluate this position? I mean, it looked very drawish to me. It seems that I am very close to winning, but I'm not 100% sure. So g5 was the move to play, sacrificing temporarily the knight, but creating a passed pawn, forcing white to give up my knight for this passed pawn, and trying to find a draw in the rook endgame. Okay. But king to d7 was played, and after that the game was over. Yes, I think I was pretty precise. after that. Okay, then I played an online match against Antoaneta Stefanova. There were many interesting games. I'm going to show you one of the bullet games that I played. And actually it's funny because of many streams. Sometimes, I mean, during my streams and during my games against subs, I do try out some quite weird openings. The central opening being one of them. And it's not only the central openings that I played here, but I played the Danish Gambit. And some of you might recall one of my streams where I dedicated like the whole stream to analyzing this Danish Gambit, playing some games against you, explaining some theoretical lines, which actually I forget. Unfortunately, you know, I wish I could remember all my streams and all the lines that I'm showing you sometimes and we're discussing here. But okay, in this game I did decide to try it out. Well, it's a bullet game after all. And she played c5. Yeah, it used to be considered as one of the very good continuation against the Danish Gambit. But okay, here I got out of the opening with an advantage. So d5 doesn't seem to be very precise. And surprisingly, well, queen takes d8 and knight g5 is interesting, but I just played queen e4. We ended up in an endgame, but I'm better developed in this endgame. And after this exchange, you see that black squares, where my knight is about to jump, are not so easily to be protected, and I'm about to castle long, and well, there is some tension, and actually the position is pretty unpleasant, especially for a bullet game, and it did not last long. So check, the second knight, castle, one more check, and a beautiful checkmate. So I did manage to win this game in less than 20 moves on the 19th move. And well, it's just an online game, but I did manage to win this match against Antoaneta Stefanova. And in between two online matches that I played throughout the Women's Speed Chess Championship that chess.com organizes every year, I did have a chance to win with my Clichy Échec team in the Women's French Team Championship, so Top 12 Femina. And that's one of my games against Sabrina Vega. In this game, I played my favorite line against the Sicilian, which is the Alapin, but I played it on the third move after knight f3, 6 but it did transpose to one of the main lines of the Alapin. There is a course on Chessable, a very good course that came out recently by Kasimzhanov and Galgule on the Alapin, which I had a chance to look at. They're suggesting many interesting lines. In that game, she played b6. And okay, it's all theoretical. h4 I played. h4, quite common move in this structure. White often sacrifices this pawn in order to open up the h file, because, as we can see, her pieces are very far away from the king side. This opening, this file, possibility to put my rook onto it, costs sometimes much more than the pawn. And for example here, I can just simply take, of course, on d6. But I was also thinking about something like that during the game, with some compensation. But here the problem is that black is about to open up her bishop. So I think in that particular case, e takes d6 is stronger, since the queen has to protect the bishop, and if the bishop, if the bishop moves away, then I can play bishop f4, developing my bishop and protecting the pawn on d6, which is not only 2 steps away from being a queen, but also kind of cuts off this black knight from the game. That's why black didn't take on h6, but in that case I continued developing. And look at my knight, beautifully placed on e5. I have well, a slight advantage here, more pleasant to play definitely. Here I started a maneuver of moving my second knight to f5. And here, thanks to the fact that after knight takes d4, I have a very strong knight to g4. And that's, well, knight takes d4 was the move that black was hoping for. But in fact, knight to g4, just simply moving away the knight from e5, keeping the pressure on knight on d4. If it moves away, then knight f5 is gonna follow with a knight h6 and many unpleasant threats. And if she plays queen f4, the line that I calculated during the game and was very happy about it, queen b4, I can capture, play queen h6, and again such domination by 2 pieces. It's impressive that it's so hard to protect this square, because if black moves her pawn, then a3, and well, not b4 but rook c1 at least. And if rook e1, then simply king h2, and white is winning. Very beautiful line that I saw during the game and was very happy, because that meant that black cannot take on d4, so they have to make another move. My opponent played rook c7, and here I just had to play knight f5, and after queen f8, for example, to play rook d3 followed by rook g3 is, well, a very strong position. Here, yes, why it's a little bit difficult. I had to, of course, foresee what would happen after knight f4, but, well, it's not so difficult, right? h5. But unfortunately, for some reason, I started playing very badly here, and I almost lost this game. I misplayed. Well, so far it's okay, but then somehow my advantage slipped away, and here, yeah, a3 is a very bad move. So I let black stabilize the position, and then I pressed too much and too hard. And instead of like agreeing on a draw somewhere, I kept pushing for a win. And here, well, I had to play h6 and rook d4, still better position, but I decided to repeat the moves. Unfortunately, my opponent didn't repeat the moves, and she played queen f5, and suddenly, yeah, I ended up in a worse position. And well, my opponent could have won this game, but in the time trouble, she didn't notice that she can just simply play d2 and d1, and d1 is losing because of a knight f8 and queen h4. But instead of d1, she can simply take the rook. And, well, okay, that's what I was hoping for. I was calculating some kind of those lines, but here king g8. Okay, she took on g5. And I was able on seconds to find queen g4, which is the only way to continue the game. It's a very difficult situation already. And after rook c7, thank you so much for your support. Knight f3, suddenly I have at least a perpetual check. At least a perpetual check. Yes, that was a roller coaster. And here my opponent, yeah, instead of king f7, which was still a draw, she played king h7, and then here queen e7 is winning easier. I played knight e6, and my opponent didn't play d1 queen, because we both thought that there's going to be a checkmate. I thought that there is going to be a checkmate like this, queen e7, king h6, queen g7, queen h7, missing the fact that the queen is on h6 and it's only a draw. But in fact, this position is a winning position. And if you're following my socials, I did share on Twitter, I think. Is it? What is the command? Yeah, like this. I did share on Twitter this position because it's impressive. It's white to move and win. If you haven't seen it, oh well, you cannot pause on Twitch, but if I will put this stream on YouTube, you can pause the video and try to find the solution, although it's going to be difficult. Very beautiful, but quite complicated. So, for those of you watching on Twitter, on Twitch, I'm sorry, queen e7, king h6, and yes, queen g7 is possible, but it leads only to a draw. But there is a winning continuation, which is a quiet move, queen f6. I'm threatening to give a checkmate. And suddenly, after queen h5, there is a check, queen h5 check, but king g3. And after queen g5, this pawn endgame is a winning one, because I have an extra pawn. And there are no more checks. I mean, everything is covered. Everything is under control. There is no way to save the king. It's impressive. It's a study-like position which appeared in a classical game. And of course, when I discovered it, it made my heart beat stronger. So yeah. I didn't see it. As I said, we were in a terrible time trouble. When I was playing knight e6, I mean, I didn't see the winning continuation. The winning continuation here is to give a few checks, to bring the queen to f7, and yeah, and then play knight e6, but it's also quite difficult. And queen f6, it's also quite complicated. But it felt like, okay, of course I could give a perpetual, but it felt like winning. And I did see a very nice line, like on seconds, that I just showed you, queen e7, then queen g7 and queen h7, and I thought that it's a checkmate. And my opponent thought the same. Queen f8 check, yes, but it doesn't win. Queen f8 check doesn't win because of king h5. And if knight f4, king just goes, well, not to g4, but to h4 to g5. And it's not a win. It's not a win. This one is losing, but g5. And somehow there is no checkmate. Can you believe that? It feels like there should be, but it's not. There are some beautiful perpetual checks. Yeah, well, it's a study-like position. It's a pure study. And there is only one solution, which is... Okay, guys, about... I think I deleted it. But yeah, I think we should ban. There was a command like this for those who insist. I'm not French. I'm not French, but I'm desperately trying to learn French. Okay, anyway. Yeah, believe me or not, there is just one winning continuation. Yes, there is queen h6 after queen h8. That is the problem. That's what I missed in the game. There is queen... There is queen h6. You see, I get tired. There is queen h6. And there is no checkmate. There is no checkmate, yeah. Exactly. That's the move that I missed. There is a draw. There is a draw, knight f4, knight h3, but okay. Okay, the game didn't finish in this study-like variation. My opponent, well, she also felt that there should be a checkmate, and she decided to capture the pawn on b2, but in that case it's too easy. Check, check, and checkmate. It's checkmate in 3 after queen takes b2. So she had to take risks. She had to promote the pawn into a queen, and in that case, who knows what would have happened, right? Okay, guys, and that was it. We won. Let me see. I think that's the next photo. Yay! I'm gonna show you. Yes, that is a nice photo in the center of Paris. Yeah, Queen and Knight, they are working magic indeed. And that's just minutes after our victory. We won the, as I said, Top 12 Femina, but you can see also Luc van Velen, Jordan van Forest, and Axel. They played in the final stage of the men's, the overall, if you wish, cup. And well, they didn't manage to win. They did lose at the end. But it was a very nice, they took silver in this Coupe de France. And actually my husband is in Paris right now. They're starting another season. He's going to play tomorrow. So yeah, but that's our victory and I was very happy. I scored 2 out of 2 that weekend. I won against Elizabeth Petz and against Sabrina Vega, and I did help my team win this cup. You know, victories are different, and some of them require a lot of nerves, energy. Yeah, I am playing, I'm not switching, but if they're not gonna be like 2 tournaments at the same time, I'm gonna play for Clichy, but I might be playing in a Grand Prix tournament this year. Okay, we'll see. What's next? That's our team in Chartres, a little bit earlier in June. That's the overall Clichy team, not female only, but top says. Yes, I think we're in between eating the main course and the dessert. That's why the table looks quite empty, but it was not empty. It was delicious. Yes, also very nice team, and they played well. They won bronze, and that's my husband and I with a cup, one of the cups. I think that's the winning cup, but I did record a video. Actually, I did record a video on every victory. I did record a video on me winning Top 12 Femina, and also this one. Okay, what's next? Yes, some more tourism. Actually, we did travel quite a bit. Actually, I was thinking about making a map, you know, to indicate all the places where I've been in 2022. Because there were many places and cities and even countries that I visited for the first time. Argentina being one of them. And yeah, that's Madrid, exactly. The candidates tournament. You see me preparing to make the first move in the Rapport Dinklegen game. And here I am, Dinklegen. He's looking funnily at me, and actually it brought some luck to Dinklegen. He won this game, even though Richard was pressing, and yeah, then he took 3rd place, and now he's the one who's going to challenge, who's going to play against Jan Nepomniachtchi this year. So, you see, I brought luck to Dinklegen, not to Richard though, but it's hard to bring luck to both, right? Yep. Okay, what's next? What did I prepare next? Yeah, traveling. Yes, Madrid. I've been to Madrid before, but a long time ago, and it was a very nice trip. Just like purely touristical, just tourists we were. We visited, of course, the candidates venue, very beautiful building. We walked a lot. We paid visits to many museums. So it was a very nice 3 days trip to Madrid. And then, yeah, and then summer. In the summer, I didn't play a lot. So, I mean, in June, I did play for Clichy. Altogether 4 games I played in June for all of the board games. And here I am with the cup of the Swiss champion of Chess 960 in Biel, because my daughter was playing in the tennis youth championship under 16 in Bern. And yeah, just before that championship, I had a chance to participate in the Swiss Chess 960 championship in Biel. And even though I lost the last game, and I did manage to win the Swiss champion title, the Swiss Chess 960 champion title. And actually, it's a very sad story about Biel, because I've heard that they might not. They might stop organizing this tournament in Biel, and if it's true, of course, it's very, very sad, because Biel Chess Festival has a very long tradition and a long history. There are not so many festivals with such a history in the modern chess world. Vaikanze being one of them, which is starting in less than a week. And Biel is another one. So there are some other chess festivals, like Hastings chess festivals. What else that has such a history and that's been running for quite a few years? Okay, so Biel, Bern. We did record quite a few videos, including TikTok videos with my daughter, and there was a, yeah, that's already summer, but let me show you some of the thumbnails that I did. Yes, that's where is this thumbnail? I don't see it, but yeah, probably. No, this is the one. Can I win in 10 seconds? You can check out this video on my YouTube channel. It's my daughter, and that is the place in Bern, and in Rosengarten, I think. A very beautiful place. And then I traveled with my daughter all around Europe. We went, well, she was playing in many tournaments. I was accompanying her. That's where in Paris running. Yes, can I win in 10 seconds? That's somewhere in Germany. I was dreaming of taking a photo with sunflowers. I managed. And then my husband became a world chess tennis champion. And also, you can check out this video of him doing that. Well, my tennis, yeah, far away from the level where I can compete. My daughter did play the tennis part well, but unfortunately her chess level is far away from competing like seriously. And well, my husband has a decent tennis level and plays well in chess, and he did manage to win this year, which is, of course, we were very happy. Actually, we're always happy to have a possibility to come back to Baden-Baden, a very nice place to visit. And yeah, I was streaming all this IRL streaming, all the matches and everything. So it was nice. What's next? Yeah, that's my daughter. That's my daughter flying on a tennis court. Yes. Yes, that's already October, but wait, before that there was September, and before that, yeah, I don't have, there was, I didn't show you, I did manage to play against Enigma. You can also find an analysis of one of our games. I lost one. I was impressed. I mean, I didn't expect him to play so well, and somehow I was pressing very hard with white, and I had a winning position, and I lost it. Oof, I should do something about it, because I keep losing in winning positions. And but then in September I played in Astana. I played the first leg of the Grand Prix, FIDE Women's Grand Prix that started this year. That's round number 10. I made a draw against Alexandra in this game. I did have a lot of nerve-wracking moments because Turkish Airlines lost my bags. The trip started badly. They didn't board us to the flight where we were supposed to be. They rescheduled our flights. They lost our bags. So for the first 10 days of this tournament, I was playing without my suitcases, without any clothes, and it was hard. But despite this fact, okay, I was losing too many games, but I was winning quite a few of them quite nicely. One of the best and memorable victories from that tournament is definitely my game against Shansaya Abdumalik, that you might have seen already, because 4 beautiful hosts, 4 great hosts helped me to cover this event, and they were commentating. Kevin and Hakim and Gori and Alexandra, they were following this event, and in this particular game I won very nicely. I was playing black. It was a line in the Italian, which I already played, which requires this temporary sacrifice, but white doesn't accept it, because then the open file is going to bring a lot of problems. Bishop g5, knight f6. Yeah, very nice line. Actually, I can record a 2 hours 2 hours lecture on this topic and position, because I've won already 4 games quite nicely with this line with black, and I have a lot to tell. But again, it's been 1.5 hours and I am still in September, so I'm kind of blitzing out the last months of the year. Okay, e takes f5, that was a novelty. I won a very nice game in the Online Olympia 2020 against Tatev Abrahamian. She played knight d5, and I recorded a video on this line, because later on Magnus and Hikaru played a game with the same exact variation. Just Magnus, I think he played bishop g4 here, while Tatev played rook d2, and it's significant loss of time, and I won this game very nicely. But in the game, Shansaya, she took on f5, she prepared this move. But okay, during the game I used the ideas that I've seen in different lines of this variation, but I used it in this particular move order, and it worked brilliantly. So I did sacrifice the pawn temporary, but the idea is to play d5 and to close this bishop on the queen side, and while white had to play g4, weakening the king side, protecting this pawn, they end up in trouble. Here I could have played g6 immediately, but I played queen d6 and g6, and suddenly white's position is almost lost. And the game didn't last long. I did manage to convert beautifully. Knight takes g4, not a very difficult tactic, but nevertheless it's important to be precise in winning positions. We've seen that well, it's hard winning, converting into a full point in a winning position, and here I was able to do that. Knight takes g4, wins, and what's important, after queen h4, knight f6 is possible, but it still gives white some counterplay, but queen to g6, just killing white. A very, very strong move. And after f takes g4, bishop takes g4, and just the game that brings so many pleasant memories, where everything worked out very well for me. And yes, here if white takes on g4, then rook f5 is gonna follow. And there is no way to protect all those pieces standing on the g file. And because these pieces are just too far away. Too far away. Okay, in the game, rook f1 happened, but yeah, the game didn't last long. 25 moves, just 25 moves. It's a rare possibility to celebrate a victory with just 25 moves when playing black in classical over-the-board games nowadays. So very much appreciated this opportunity, very much appreciated. And as I mentioned, as I said, I finished this tournament on the 4th place, which was not a bad result at all, considering the fact that I had so many adventures before that. Фотки. Ой, не совсем фотки. Okay. After Astana, in October, there was the European Club Cup. Where is it? Where is this photo? I've seen it, yeah. But I didn't play in that cup. I was supporting my husband. I was preparing for the upcoming candidates. It was beautiful place in the Austrian mountains. And I did play a tournament, a rapid tournament, in Salamanca before going to the candidates. I did have a chance at the end of October to play some chess. That's the tournament of Salamanca. Just 8 players, 7 rounds, long rapid, so 45 minutes for each game, plus 5 seconds, I think, incremental time. And yes, Salamanca, oof. Well, I was told it's beautiful. It is. It's an amazing city. If you have a chance to visit, definitely take this chance and visit. It's just impressive. And the tournament didn't start well. I lost 3 first games, but I did manage to win against Vincent Keimer, and well, he scored very well in the recent rapid chess championship, so I can be proud of this victory. Although I must say I didn't do my best in the opening, even though it was my favorite Alapin, Sicilian, but somehow I thought that my opponent blundered the pawn and decided to take it. In fact, bishop c2 would transpose to a theoretical line. Bishop c4 is a bad idea. I do win a pawn, but it gives black time to be better developed, and unfortunately, because of this pawn, I cannot play d4. I should play d3 in order to open up my pieces, but on d3 this pawn is a weakness, and after bishop f5, well, I have problems with my pieces. Rook c8 is coming up, but then e4 always has to be considered, queen f6, queen g6, queen d7. I mean, many not so beautiful lines for white are in there. I did manage to find a possibility to give up this extra pawn and get into a slightly worse endgame, but okay, at least the amount of the pawns are, I have the same number of pawns. Black is better because they have control over the only open file in the position, but okay. I was holding. I mean, it was lesser evil out of what I could have gotten. And here my opponent started missing simple, especially for his level, tactic. He played rook c to d8. Again, the move that seems to be so logical, putting the second rook on the open file, but in fact it would have been better to play bishop b6 or rook e8, because rook c to d8 allows me to develop my bishop with a tempo, and rook d7 is not possible because of this fork. And my opponent played rook a to d6, but knight goes to c5 anyway, and here, even though it seems scary, but I do capture this pawn. And after rook d7 I can play c4 and knight c5, escape from this cage. And after rook g6 I prepared rook a to d1, a very beautiful intermediate move, using the fact that even though this bishop is hanging, I can win back the bishop. I can win back the bishop on c7. And suddenly, even though my position was a very bad one, here it's almost winning. And I did manage not to spoil it, and on seconds did manage to convert little by little this game into a full point. And I did start with 0 out of 3, but I finished with 3.5 out of 4, and managed to take the 3rd place in this tournament in beautiful Salamanca. Okay, my pawn, yeah, I promoted it. Vega, Sabrina Vega was the one that had a study-like position. Dirk J, thank you so much. Yeah, that's me, cruel me. Okay, and then there was a long-awaited candidates that changed its format, but unfortunately, okay, but before that, yes, photos, don't be scared. Here we go. That's me. That's how I look like usually when it's windy. It's Antip again, a few more sunny rays before. Yeah, and in Vienna also one more new city. I haven't been to Vienna, well, only just transferring and had flight connections before that, but we did manage after Meyerhofen to pass by Vienna with my husband also for 2 days, but had such an amazing time. We ate so well. I mean, I'm a big food lover, and it was just delicious. Vienna schnitzel was delicious. The soup, they had the emperor soup. It's just exactly the soup that I was growing up with. Emperors, yeah. But that was just impressive. I liked Vienna a lot, and of course the chocolate cake, the famous chocolate cake. It was nice. This Vienna trip was very nice. What else? No, this one we've already seen, right? And then, yeah, then there was a Khiva, Uzbekistan. Unfortunately, the format of the candidates, of the women candidates, have changed. And instead of playing round robin, to full circles, how to call it, like 14 games, I played only 4. Well, what to do? That's life, right? That's life. And but nevertheless, it's a very interesting place to visit. You would never expect how beautiful it is, like the old city, historical place. They preserved it in a great shape, and we enjoyed walking. I rode a camel, although it was so cold and windy, and it was not an, well, yeah, it was a knockout. They split these tournaments in 2 groups first, and my opponent was Alexandra Garячkina, the highest rated player of the candidates. And well, I didn't play well with white. I didn't play well with white in this game, in this match. I barely survived in the first game. The second game was great, though, but I lost the third with white pieces, and I didn't manage to do anything with black in the fourth one. Thus, I got eliminated, and my participation in the women's candidates was over. And December December. December I spent playing Rapid and Blitz. Yeah, I played the European Rapid and Blitz Championships, which was actually a very nice format because it was an open tournament with women fighting for extra women prizes. And I did very well in Blitz, even though I started with a loss against 1700. But that's one of the last rounds I got very lucky against Donchenko, and he was pressing very hard in both games, but I did score 1.5 because he forgot about time and he forfeited on time in the first game and didn't manage to win in the second one. I did take first. I did show the best result among women in this championship, and then yeah, and actually the photos that you've been watching with me holding 2 medals, it's also from Katowice, and I took the second place. I shared actually the first in the rapid section as well. And of course there were many games. In 3 days I played 33 games. So there were quite a few games with I'm gonna show you the last game, the decisive game of the Rapid Championship. You might be aware of the fact that I started playing the Dutch defense in my Blitz games, and here, even though it was a rapid game, I decided to opt for it, and my opponent played g4. But okay, he didn't know that I've played so many Title Tuesdays that this weirdly looking move had already been tried against me before that, so I knew how to react. White's idea is to, some kind of banker gambit reverse to open up the king side. But black, it's not checkers, black doesn't have to take. I played d4, d5, and he played c4. He continued sacrificing pawns, but here I agreed to take. Knight c3. And here I had to play e6. I had to protect this pawn with the idea after e4, just capture on e4, play bishop b4, and I have a big advantage. In fact, I decided to play too creatively. I played knight to f6, which is okay for the moment. But after h3 again, why didn't I take on c4? And look, after h takes g4, I could have played e5, having a very, very good position. Because after g5 I have knight g4, and f3 doesn't help because of e takes d4. But okay, creative mood, c5. Okay, very nicely looking, pawn square. What to say? What else to say? What else to do? c5, yes. Well, sometimes I overpush. Sometimes being creative is not really what is required. Okay, well, he had to take on d5, and he did take on d5. Not a problem. I took on d4, and my idea was that after queen takes d4, I wanted to play knight c6, and actually I did play knight c6, but okay, queen to d1, knight e5. The problem is that I managed to make white pawns look great. Yes, and white central pawns are just scary. Imagine f3, e4, f4, e5. I mean, if they start moving, the game will be over. But okay, luckily for me, in this game they did move, but not quite. I did manage to stop them. Here my opponent played f4, which is a very bad move. The pawns should move like this, because after f4, knight goes to g4, e4, and queen b6, and the position is not lost anymore. Well, my opponent did feel that his central pawns are very strong, but they should be supported by pieces. And look at white's pieces, poor pieces. Let's put the knight back to b1. That would be funny. Queen f2, checkmate. Queen f2, checkmate is in the air. Queen f3, but after that I played brilliantly. I have nothing bad to say about my game since this exact moment on. e5, perfect move. Stopping white's intention of pushing the pawn to e5, stopping this central pawns, and opening up the bishop, which, taking into account those weak black squares, can become quite unpleasant for white. And at the same time, after d takes e6, which is very important, I don't take with the bishop because of bishop b5 check. I don't take with the queen, even though it's possible, but it gives white time. I play bishop c6, another very strong move. And just, well, it's hard to develop. Let's try this one. This one leads to knight takes e4. Knight takes e4 threat is in the air. My opponent played bishop to d2. And here I castled. I played bishop c5 first, and then I castled. And after long side castle, rook takes d2, the computer indicates, but it's too strong for me. I played knight e3 almost instantly because that was I was planning for. It's also pretty strong. And look how this game ended. My opponent let me checkmate him. Check. Check and checkmate. Isn't it beautiful? I mean, I was very pleased. No, it gives you some kind of pleasure, you know, an artist-like pleasure. Yes, it's was very much appreciated by me that he let me checkmate him. It's not a blitz game, it's a rapid game though, but I must say that I didn't spend more than 3 minutes for this game. I did play very, very fast, and look at that! A picturesque, picture-like position. I was b5, and actually it's my second victory that I'm showing today, which is less than 25 moves and a victory for black. I was very happy. And I don't know, somehow everything, you know, when things work out pretty well for you, you have such a good impression of a tournament. And Katowice was great, just great. Everything worked out. I mean, maybe not everything chess-wise, but I did manage to overcome bad results, to come back and show some beautiful chess. Dirk J, you're gonna see. I did include a similar challenge to my bingo card. We are going to discuss it in a second. Okay, and the last but not least, the World Championship. The Women's World Rapid and Blitz Championship that followed immediately almost after Katowice. Do I have... Yeah, so it's one more from Katowice. Yeah, that's the only pictures that I have from Almaty. Ah, no, it's not true. From the opening ceremony I also have it. Well, hard one. Hard tournament. Somehow, maybe because of the fact that I was exhausted physically, and there was some kind of nervous exhaustion, I was feeling very, very... badly throughout the tournament in terms of I couldn't handle my nerves. And in order to play rapid and blitz well, you need to keep calm. Despite the fact of having seconds on your clock, you really need to calm yourself down even more in rapid and blitz than in classical, because in rapid and blitz it's just seconds, right? And in classical you have time, you can you know, go out and walk a little bit, and yeah, so in Almaty not everything worked out. Even though I'm pretty happy with the performance of my rapid tournament, I did play, yeah, that's the opening ceremony. That's already a new year. I did play a few nice games, including a victory, a fast victory with black, which I'm gonna show you. Again, I did manage to create some miniatures with playing black this year. It was one of the rapid games. that I played, and quite a good one. So I didn't dare to play f5 in this game. I opted for a more classical way, but my opponent chose a very sharp f3 line, c5, a3, and here not so common bishop a5. Bishop c3 is the main line, but bishop a5 is another interesting possibility, inviting white to take on c5 and tripling white pawns. Queen a5, queen d4, which is a bad move. Of course, white had to develop. They're falling behind in development just too much, and pawns are not the thing they have to be thinking about in this particular position, because, well, if white wanted to protect the pawn on c3, it would have been better just to play queen d3 immediately, because here she gave me a tempo. I captured back the sacrificed pawn, and here we see that, well, how to develop those pieces, what to do. She played a4, and after queen a5, bishop a3, rook d8, the position is already almost hopeless for white, because d5 is a threat, b6, bishop a6, rook c8 is another plan. Those pawns are very weak, those pieces aren't developed, the king is in the center. Well, just disaster, to tell you the truth. And I did manage to play d5, and I did manage here. Bishop a6 would have been easier, and but already at this moment I noticed a very nice idea of sacrificing the knight, because, well, because white's king is in the center, my pieces are all developed. This pin is very annoying, and that pin on the e file is also quite annoying, and white just cannot save the game, because, well, you see, I'm using this pin. Actually, it was a very funny position. The knight is pinned, and the rook is pinned. The knight, the rook, too many pinned pieces. And yeah, that's how the game ended. And that's one of the victories of the Rapid tournament, which I ended with a draw. And I did manage, well, to show a decent result, getting into prizes, winning a prize. And then we moved on to play Blitz, and unfortunately, yes, in Blitz I was not performing to my best, even though the first day went well, but the second day I just was losing too many games with huge advantage. And, well, the incident that took place against actually the same opponent, Mira in the last round, I exploded. I wasn't able not to explode. There was a photographer who was taking photos during the last seconds of the games, and it distracted me terribly. The position was going downhill. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't keep calm. I couldn't do anything. It just exploded. I asked the photographer to leave, and I lost the game. I made an appeal, and, well, I didn't win. I mean, I won a prize, but it was I took the 15th place instead of taking the 5th. Yeah, in case of a win, in case of a victory, I would have finished this tournament on the 5th place, and in that case, well, it was costly. It cost a lot financially. I mean, well, so the whole, like, memories of this tournament were spoiled a lot, because I love those tournaments. I love Rapid and Blitz, and unfortunately, well, I couldn't perform better. That's okay, that's life, that happens. And to have a chance to compete and to play well in on the top level, it's quite significant already. And well, that was it. 2022, 26 classical games. In terms of the rating change, I did increased my classical rating on 3 points. throughout the year, but I did lose a few points in Rapid and Blitz. No, the photographer didn't apologize personally, but okay, there was... and actually I wrote a complaint letter to FIDE, so I'm waiting right now for their answer, but okay, they are arguing. Unfortunately, that the person in FIDE responsible for taking care of the press is the photographer himself, and I think, and he's on the side of photographers. Although, well, what can we do? I'm still waiting for their answer, and well, now I know that if it's the last game, if it's the last seconds, then, and something or someone is distracting me, then I'd better stop the clock, ask the arbiter to move away the distraction, and then continue the game as calmly as possible. But unfortunately, well, in my case, it's so easy to be distracted. It's my personal problem. I understand that I should be working on that, but what to say? We cannot play in a vacuum hole. I understand that photos and videos make quite an important part of a tournament, but not in the last seconds, guys. It's Blitz. It's 10,000 on stake, and for women's tournaments it's a lot. It's a 3 months of work, of my work. Unfortunately, I don't earn fortune not to care about such prizes, and yes, I'm such a person that to whom such prizes just add up pressure, and I'm feeling this pressure, and this pressure is just overwhelming, and if there is a little bit more pressure, then I just explode. I'm a human being. Yes, I'm sorry about the fact that the tournament ended in such a way, about the fact that I didn't react like correctly according to the rules, but what to do? Anyway, the year was over. Unfortunately, I started it with a loss and I ended it with a loss, but 2023 is already here. New tournaments, a lot of actually tournaments, more classical over the board games to come, and I do hope to be able to finish it, to start it and to finish it better than I did in 2022. And of course, I do realize that result in a chess tournament, in a chess game, is not the most important thing in life. There are so many events taking place that are heartbreaking and really can be called important, and chess, well, it stays just a game. And nevertheless, I do hope that you enjoyed this recap. It did last for 2 hours, and well, starting with this recap, I'm opening a streaming week. I'm opening up a streaming week. There's going to be a lot of streams in the next 10 days. Yes, exactly, Georgie. And well, tomorrow is going to be a so long-awaited Sub Sunday for my dear subs that kept supporting my Hopefully I'm back. You see, there is so much pressure that even internet failed and I needed to restart streaming. Are you here? Let me know. Something is going on with my internet. Come on, internet. I'm talking about streams that are about to come. If internet will start misbehave, I'm not gonna be able to do that. And yeah, guys, let me know if I'm live, if you are still here. And yeah, I'm back. Good. Sounds cutting out. Well, hopefully everything will normalize. So what I was saying, that tomorrow tomorrow is going to be a sub Sunday at 4 p.m. Central European time. But then the next week, the next weeks are gonna be a lot of streams, including no sound. That's strange, because it's very strange, because the internet seems to be working. Audio go. Is it back now? Now I have to start all over again, all the recap from the beginning. But do you hear me? Do you copy me? Promise to be back. I even don't know what to do. Okay, let me, I don't know, that's something obvious is misbehaving. Right. Do you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hey, alphabet. But while I was about to talk about the bingo cup, the bingo card. Come on. There should be able to. Where is it? Ah! Hello! Sign language. I'm not very good in sign language. What happened?